Welcome to Nick Sapp Junior Sports Talk TV. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube lingo stuff like we do. Coach Dude used to say. So me and Van, we back at it again. We back at it again. About to break down this Alabama versus USF. Pretty good goddamn football team, I'm saying.
Yes, sir, it is. And I'm glad you're talking about it because a lot of people are ignoring what they've got and what they can do, man.
Whew. Let's talk about this head coach that got this pretty daggone good. Pretty daggone good. A guy that I see that has turned this team around, and honestly, possibly they have a good season this year. They'll probably be like the third best team in Florida. Let me give you the rundown. Probably Miami, maybe UCF. I don't know how good they're gonna do this year, and probably them. That's crazy.
Hey, man. You talking about the head coach, Alex Galesh. Man,
Yes.
people sleep on this guy. He, at the beginning of the year when they released the Maxwell Awards, all these other awards. Well, I got to looking, curious. Just I like to see where Alabama's at. I like to see where all these guys are because I watch so many games. It's good to see. USF's all over this thing, man.
Yeah, man.
They are all over this thing. But Alex Galesh, this is a guy when he was at Tennessee kind of helped get that jump start for them to finally get Tennessee back on the map. He was calling offensive plays. He was recruiting, and Tennessee's recruited really well the last few years. But when he was at Iowa State, he put together two of the best recruiting cycles they have ever had in school history as far as ranking. And this is a guy that knows football, man. He's a great recruiter. He's a great play caller. I've watched some shows with him breaking down film. And this guy sounds like he's been coaching for 40 years. Yeah. He's a hell of a coach, man. He deserves all of our respect. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah. And for the Alabama fans out there that might not be too familiar with him, he was the OC that when Tennessee beat us that year when he kept sending Jalen Hyatt down there, who was it, DeMarco Hellams that kept smoking DeMarco Hellams up on their Pete Golden defense, but that neither here nor there, but he was the one that dialed up the offense. He was the one that dialed up the offense that got Tennessee down there and was it 2 plays or something for the field goal to win the game?
Yep.
That's that guy. That's that guy. Just to let y'all know. And like I told y'all, like I told you, he's one of the guys that I feel like if he continue to trend upward from last season and have a good season this year, he's gonna be open for some big time jobs. And one of the big time jobs that I'm looking at is not saying he'll be a coach of them, but he'll probably be a candidate for the Florida job if Billy Napier doesn't get it together. That's my opinion, though.
You pretty much have to say that Florida is going to be scouting for new talent or new coaches. I hate to sell a guy short like that. The season not over, but I was honestly surprised he still had a job at the end of the Miami game. And that ain't me being hateful, but he's been there long enough that team should have looked more prepared and fought a little harder than what they did. That's an excusable thing in year one, but a program that has been as big as Florida just should not look that way in week one against Miami. And I know they were dominant decades ago, in the 2000s and the 90s, and that don't buy you wins in 2024. Don't get me wrong, that's Florida State. But at the same time, he's been there long enough to establish something.
They had key pieces returning as well too. So
yeah, and where's the physicality at, man? You have to build teams a certain way in the SEC. Like, I don't expect you to come out with a fullback and run, a bunch of heavy plays and 12 personnel or nothing like that. Although Michigan did win a title with one last year, running a lot of that. But, realistically, you've got to build your trenches big and physical. You can't win that way. Not in the SEC. You battle too many good teams week in and week out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But hopping into this game, one of the key people that I look at is what's my guy name? The quarterback guy, Byron Brown. Somebody
dude.
that he was a 3,000 yard passer last year for USF. The first 3,000 yard passer and rushed for 809 yards at the same time. So dual threat guy, he was up for a lot of awards last season. Won a lot of awards last season. And like I say, one of the Group 5 teams that he's a quarterback that I see easily could have went to a power four, like maybe a LSU had the same a similar impact as the Jalen Daniels. Like he really could have went to another school, I feel like, and have a big impact on the school. But for him to stay at USF and continue to do his thing, it shows you a lot about he understands what kind of coaches that he has with him as well. But this guy, Byron Brown, is going to be very key for what USF does Saturday against Alabama.
Man, I totally agree with you. He does remind you of a Jaden Daniels type guy. Yeah. Like, as soon as you sleep on his athleticism, he's run by you. I mean, he's a great athlete, got big size. He's 6'3", like 225. You know, he's a bigger quarterback, but runs really well.
Yeah.
And in fact, I watched some of his highlights. Who was it they played last Saturday with? Bethune?
Bethune, yes.
Yeah. Yep, dude. He had one play where he just turned it up, snapped the ball, and was gone. And I thought, man, like you just can't sleep on a guy that's that athletic. But yeah, his arm talent. I mean, he threw for, like you said, 3,000 yards. I think he had like 20-something touchdowns. His running ability, and he's got a wide receiver there that ain't no joke either.
Atkins.
Yes.
Atkins. He was, matter of fact, I think he was like the first 1,000-yard receiver. Either was it the first or the first in a long time, but yes, he was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and he has returned.
And
I think he actually like a 6-year guy I think he's like a 6-year guy too.
I don't mind that. You know, a lot of people don't like seeing that, but to me, I'd rather a guy stay and try to get the most development he can. I don't blame him.
No,
I absolutely do not blame him at all. Tom Reed's on it as usual. Yeah, he is definitely an X's and O's guy.
Yes, he is. But we talk about this offense and how good they seem to be and how good they were last year. But it was an offense that really, last year they put pressure on us last year, but they didn't really get it going much against us last year. So that was a testament to our defense as well. So with this new defensive style, I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel like our defense will compare to the talent that they have on offense?
I talked about it a little bit the other day when you let me on the show with you, man. And the way the defensive line, essentially the front seven, the way the defensive line and the linebackers were swarming to the ball against Western Kentucky, I was super excited to see that. On these tonal screens, bubble screens, pitch outs, these guys were getting off of the blocks and getting out there nearly at the same pace as the linebackers were.
Yeah.
This is a really aggressive team, and the defense coordinator talked about that a lot in the preseason, about wanting the front seven to eat and allowing the DBs to sit back there and have the best position to win their individual matchups. So, I mean, to say I'm excited is an understatement. I just feel something different with this defense than I've felt in a couple of years. Me and you've talked, year and a half, and I've been highly critical of the defensive line, especially, and felt like we've had good athletes. It wasn't the athletes. There was something in the scheme of the way we were attacking or the preparation, and I felt like we weren't getting the most out of the talent we had, and that's frustrating to me, especially when you're a program like an Alabama.
And I'm agreeing to what you said 100%, because a lot of people want to blame Freddie Roach, fire Freddie Roach, and I was telling people, I don't think it's Freddie Roach. I believe it's the scheme that was holding him back a lot. I think it was the scheme that was holding him back. And I felt like up under the 4-2-5, what I know the 4-2-5 is meant for, I felt like this is going to be the scheme where he going to let the dogs go be dogs. And
yes,
we seen glimpses of that Saturday. But for our defense, I like this game a lot as well, because we're going against a talented quarterback, a true dual threat quarterback. So this is going to be another test. not sure on how the running back from this season is. I think he had like 70 something 6 yards,
Yeah,
14 attempts Saturday or whatever.
he did it on very few carries though. I mean, they're a two-headed monster back there in the backfield with that quarterback running back. That
Yes.
read option play,
Yeah.
If you're not on your toes, man, they'll eat you alive.
So yeah, man. So I like this. I like this for our defense as well. I believe this is gonna be another test as well for us Saturday. But I'm gonna go over to the defensive side of the ball for USF. Defense last year wasn't too hot. They are returning their leading tackler, linebacker. I think his name is Jalen Schuler. He had 97 tackles, and Cortavius Berryhill, I think he had 3 interceptions, safety. So they are returning their leaders on the defense. I will say, up under a new scheme last year, they probably wasn't, didn't get it together yet. So this year, I'm always expecting teams to get better every year. So they might get back better this year. I don't know, but I know last year they had like one of the worst defenses in the country. And with that being said, yes, Miro didn't start last year, but you still don't expect that defense to hold Alabama to, what was it, 17 points?
Yeah.
You still don't expect that from that defense. And with that being said, like I said, they had one of the worst defenses in the country. So I'm expecting them to get better. Don't know if they are or not, but I know it will be a different outcome. Well, it will look different this year, is what I'm saying, with Miro being the starter this year.
Oh, most definitely. Because, Milroe being in the pocket and his ability to escape the pocket and his ability to throw the deep ball and just all the dimensions that Milroe brings just adds a layer to Alabama that you got to pick your poison. And it's just too much talent, And last year, with Milroe not playing, it kind of felt like a quarterback talent show out there, to be honest with you. And the and the play calling was atrocious. And I try not to be too negative when I come on somebody's show. I don't want to talk too much smack because, clearly he was an OC and I'm not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, the play calling against Texas and then you turn around against USF was horrible last year. And it didn't improve that much. Him having to trust Milroe to ride it out after how bad the other quarterbacks looked against USF made Alabama look better than the play calling was. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we're going to have to deal with that this year. Thank goodness. Man, I feel bad for any defense coordinator that has to go against a guy like Milroe. And I say that I feel bad for our defense coordinator having to scheme against Byron Brown this week.
Yeah,
that's like can do anything. Like just because he don't play at an Oklahoma or an LSU, people don't talk about him enough. But the people that look into everybody and do the award shows, they know about him because he's on about every watch list in the country right now.
Yes.
And a lot of NFL scouts are talking about him, as they should be, And he there again, to have the size that he has means he can sit in the pocket and take a hit. Yes. But he's athletic like a guy that's a little bit smaller than him. And he can make about every throw on the field. I've watched a lot of game film on this guy, and they got some offensive firepower. They really do.
Yes. Like I said, a guy that threw for 3,292 pass yards and rushed for 809 yards. That's crazy. That's crazy quarterback stats.
Yeah, and the guy backing him up.
That's crazy.
The guy backing him up, Bryce Archie, I think's his name.
Yeah.
He's gonna be another one. I think they've already got something in the wings for the next up kind of deal because he looks pretty good, man.
I'm gonna tell you this. Like we was talking about Alex Goulish, whatever, how he's gonna probably come up for candidates. You know what I wish these coaches to start doing?
I know what you're gonna say, and I'm backing you 100% right here because I agree with you.
I wish they just start building where they're at, man. Because think about it. They can make the playoffs. I'm not saying this year, but that group 5 school can make it like a 12 spot in the playoffs. Like,
yes.
I wanted to see it for Scott Frost. I wish it would have stayed at UCF, and I think it was the dude prior to him that did, but I wish it would have just stayed and see what would have happened. But he jumped the gun so damn fast.
I would bet my paycheck that Scott Frost, looking back, hindsight's 2020, bets he wished he had stayed at UCF.
I just will, but I do know the goal is always to get the dream job, the bigger jobs, but it'll come if you
why can't somebody's dream be to rebuild something or to make something that has never been? I would love to see it, man. I'm such a fan. There's so many good coaches right now at small schools that get no shine. They get nobody talks about them whatsoever. We covered UNLV earlier this week and their head coach. This is another guy right here that I'm telling you, another good season. Sadly, they probably won't be at the school they're at no more. But I would love to see some of these programs. They're as good right now as they were when Randall Cunningham was there in the 80s. Nobody ever taught UNLV football. Last time I even had UNLV come out of my mouth was back in the Jerry Tarkanian basketball days in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody, it ain't because I'm hating on them. Just not a lot happening there.
Yeah, that's fact. That's facts. I know when my son get recruited, though, I know that that's one of the places that I told him to put on his list. Free trip to Vegas.
Most definitely, dude. Although at 18, 19 years old, that would have been the last place my parents would have wanted me to go because I may not look back or join college. But, that's a different story.
I'm staying, but I'm probably not doing none of this shit I came out here for.
Yeah, but your son probably got a better head on his shoulders than we did at that age. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. I appreciate this shit all the time, too.
Man.
Nowhere like I was thinking in 8th grade.
Oh, I look at my kids all the time, and I'm like, I'm so glad y'all take after your mama.
Man, dude. For real. But overall, man, honestly, with this game, I think it could be a good game.
I do too.
I think some people want to say did Alabama have this game circle on their schedule? I don't think they had a circle on the schedule because it was a game that we won. But I think it's going to be meaningful to Jalen Miro because it's going to be the game where he set out, but this was the game that also made the coaching staff turn back to him. And I want to go back to what you were saying about Tom Maurice had the best. It wasn't more the play caller. It was just him having to trust Miro. I like the way coaches like DeBoer handles the quarterback. You've been hearing all the stuff that he makes sure Miro, he wants to run the stuff that Miro is comfortable with. I even go back to the Miami Dolphins head coach. I can't even think of his name right now, but
me either, man. But he's brilliant.
Yeah, how he handled Tua, because with Coach Flowers was there, it was all the trade rumors. But when he came in, he automatically made Tua feel secure. Be like, no, you my quarterback, breaking up all the trade rumors. And that's the best thing you can do for a quarterback. Make him feel secure. Don't make him feel like his job is in jeopardy. And Kellen DeBoer knows that working with quarterbacks I think he was a quarterback as well, I believe, but he didn't work with he a quarterback guru. So he knows that. And you see in the offseason how Jalen Miro feels about this guy, feels about the staff, that they're comfortable with him in this because of the trust that DeBoer has put into him.
Yes. And the way he talks about everybody, man, the way he builds his team up, and he can talk about mistakes, but he's great at singling out. Yeah, you ain't lying, Red. She wouldn't have let me win. She already knew. But man, the way he can figure out problems without pinning it on too many guys, because he knows his younger guys' mentalities. Yeah. Your brain ain't mature at 18, 19, 20 years old. We like to think we was grown men at that age, but we wouldn't. And he has a way of kind of shielding them away from burdening too much of the load, but can still work through it with them. Man, I got a lot of respect for that guy. I seen a video of him the other day where they had some little girl there at the practice. Did you see that?
Yeah, man.
Man, that bring a tear to the eye, man. A good group of guys down there too.
Let's say he started at Washington, but I love when coaches actually, do stuff like that, man. Do stuff like that. That's
Oh,
big,
me
man.
too.
That's big for the community too.
And you hear that stuff about Milrow all the time too, man. That's why I'm always I've always been such a fan of his. Number one, you can see the talent. You can see the talent when he come out of Texas. Couldn't nobody tell me different. You don't play for Texas, not be a good quarterback. His stats. But number two, his mentality. Things go wrong, he shook it off. You never see him crying about things, but he didn't talk too big. He's a humble cat. He's good to the community. You want more guys like that on the team, you know?
Yes. That and when you see guys like that, it just tells you about their parents. What type of family he came from. When you see,
and those kind of guys rub off on the rest of the guys too.
Yes.
It's like osmosis, man. You start to pick up on their habits. You don't even realize it sometimes, and it's a positive thing. I think we got a good core of kids down there.
Yeah, I think so too. This group is hungry, but like I said, this game, I think it'll be a game. Byron Brown, he one of those guys that can kill your spread. He's easily one of those guys that can kill the spread of a game, but like, God dang it.
He catch you sleeping in the first quarter and put 2 touchdowns on you real quick, change your whole game plan too. Yep.
Real quick. But
we're not even hyping up the run game enough. No. Because South Florida ran the ball like 46 times. They wanted to pound the rock, and they spread it out. Kelly Joyner's like their main back.
Yes.
I think he 14 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. But then Byron Brown toted the rock 8 times. 8 times, 74 yards in a touchdown. Teron Keith, they got some running backs back there. They averaged about 5 yards a clip in that ball game.
Yep. That was what I was about to say. And he was Byron Brown was the second leading rusher of that game. Like, so we know they want to run the ball. And that's what I want to see against this 4-2-5 when you facing a team like a Georgia that wants to run the ball constantly and is not going to shy away from running the ball. How would our smaller guys that's going to probably have to step up and make the tackles often, how are they going to hold up in that? And not saying I don't think it'll be much of a threat, but I know they're going to try to run the ball with the talent they got from the quarterback and the running back guy. Jordan, I think he's a 6-year guy as well. He has a lot of experience.
Yes. But now I'm going to highlight one thing on the negative side. And it was one game, and we talked about giving grace for one game beginning of the season. But now Bethune-Cookman got through the line and got a hold of that quarterback a couple times. I think they had about 3 sacks, couple of tackles for losses. So that may be something I'm sure our defense coordinator's already noticed and game plan for. But on the other hand, when you get into South Florida's defense, man, they also had 3 sacks, but they had 16 tackles for loss.
Woo!
In one ball game. Bethune-Cookman ran the ball 41 times, had 48 yards.
41 times, how many yards?
48 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, they averaging about 1.2 yards a carry on that for no touchdowns. I think their longest run in the ball game was a 12-yarder, and that was a quarterback scramble.
That's crazy.
So South Florida, they eat on that front seven during that ball game. They eat. They came in there and attacked that run game, and they pushed them around. Bethune-Cookman never got nothing going, man. They threw the ball like 33 times. They might have completed 50% passing. They didn't have like 120 yards. Threw 2 picks. They just couldn't get nothing going. And,
so, like I say, I know last year that defense was, and I wasn't good last year,
right?
But like I said, I expect every team to get better. This is my expectations coming into the season. Them knowing the system now, knowing what they expected of on defense, and I believe they'll get better. That's just what I believe in. I believe that in every team. Every team gonna get better. That might still suck. Not saying necessarily them, but a team might still suck. But I feel like they got better from last year. I don't know. But
I think they're a team that is going to, if not this year, next year, if the coach stays there, they have another big year and the coach stays there, they're going to be a team to really watch out for in the future. They're not a team you want to sleep on anyways. Ask Alabama last year, but if they're starting to get their defense better to go with the offense, man, you building something here.
Yeah.
And with Florida kind of going down, Florida State's trajectory not looking super great, they could really fight for some recruiting,
Yeah.
And that's a team that, man, I hope he stays there and does something. I like to see teams like that come up. I really do. I don't like just seeing the blue blood programs, man. I like to see teams come out of nowhere. I remember being a teenager when Boise State really took off.
Man,
I love watching Boise State.
That around that time, that's the times that were coming out. They came out and beat Georgia one year, and
yes,
I really felt like the BCS. I like the what is the BCS, whatever it was at the time. I really felt like they really should deserve the shot at playing for a national championship one of those years, man.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. It was like when we played Cincinnati in the playoffs a couple years ago, and everybody was griping, man, Cincinnati don't belong in there. I'm like, man, let them in there. If they beat Alabama, they deserve it, first of all.
Yeah.
But they played us pretty well. I mean, it wasn't like we just blew them out 60-0. They were physical football team. I mean, Alabama didn't have to do everything. They didn't have to throw the whole book at them to try to score, but teams like that deserve it, man. And if they battle through some of these schedules, like some of these schedules, people sleep on some of these teams. The MAC's got some good teams. The AAC. I mean,
I think that's what USF is. AAC, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Central Florida. Central Florida's had years when you did. I was glad we didn't play them, because you take a team like that lightly, they will beat you.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. So last week we seen Jalen go for 7 for 9, 2 touchdowns, 200 passing yards. That stat line is crazy. But thinking about this as a whole, Alabama threw the ball a total of like 18 times as a whole.
Right.
Coming from a Kellen DeBoer offense, that is unheard of. Like, no, he's going.
I believe that makes Alabama a little bit unpredictable, because everybody thought we would just go come out here and try to be Washington 2.0. And now, this is a guy that evaluates the talent in the room and puts his plan together from that. The good coaches do. Do you remember when the Ravens changed their offensive coordinator, and that guy took 2 looks at Lamar Jackson, was like, what have we been doing here? Changed it up, different team. The good coaches back in the day, and I don't want to take up too much time, but back in the day, the NFL was terrible about drafting a quarterback and then trying to make him fit their system.
Yes. And
those days are sort of changing, thank God.
And I still talk about it today. Like, I understand you have your bread and butter of what you want to do, but you have to adjust to what you have. You have to adjust to your personnel. And I bring that up all the time. What the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson was the best thing. I talked about it for you. I talked about it when Geno Smith got drafted to the Jets. I always thought Geno Smith was a solid quarterback, but they drafted him to a place that you're not using him like West Virginia used him. You have to use what these kids are comfortable with. Me, if I'm an OC in the NFL, I'm going far back as high school. What were you comfortable with in high school? What made you so good in high school? Okay, when you got to the college level, what made you so good at the college level? So when I look at that stuff, now I'm going to revamp my offense. If I have to maneuver other players around to get other players around you to make what you do best work for me, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
The smart offensive coordinators do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's guys, I can't remember the guy's name that was coaching the Broncos, not Sean Payton, but the guy before him that has been back and forth with the Patriots over the years, coached at the Raiders. I think they just fired him at the Raiders last year. But I think so.
I can't remember. I know you're talking about
His ego
yeah.
is crazy, man. He's gotten so many shots in the NFL he didn't deserve just because he's part of that Belichick coaching tree.
I think it was the OC for Patriots, that
Yeah.
Daniels or something, whatever
Yep.
his name was.
But he would take guys and try to make them what he likes to run.
Yep.
And that's why he's had this much success in the NFL,
Yep.
besides being an OC.
Yep.
And if you didn't like Tom Brady, I don't think we'd ever heard of him. And that's just being straight up.
Exactly. And this is what I tell people. I like I said, I use this Lamar thing all the time. I said, Lamar good, Tom Brady good. But you weren't going to run no Tom Brady offense with Lamar and expect him to be what he is today. You weren't going to run no.
Why do you buy a Ferrari? Why do you buy a Ferrari to deliver Uber Eats in? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't buy a car like that to sit still. That ain't what that car is about.
Nope.
You don't buy a drag car expecting to drive it back and forth to school. Like you use what you got for the function it's intended, and you get the most out of it. I mean, it's simple. You see it in life, man. I don't know, man. I don't understand what people are doing sometimes. I really don't.
And just what I was talking about, Kellen Boyd, offensive minded guy. When I say offensive minded guy, everybody think of the Sarkeesians. I think I talked about last show, and they let the fancy throwing the ball downfield with Sarkeesian like dial up. They let that forget that he runs the ball well. He runs the ball to be able to do all this stuff. And that's what I was saying about Kellen Boyd. He's an offensive minded guy, so don't think it's just gonna look like Penix at Washington last year, just throw. We may eventually build up to that, but he's gonna come in and look at. I got Jam Miller and Justice Hayes. Young. I got Miller.
People didn't look at what Washington did with the run game last year enough. They don't get talked about enough.
They don't, because they had a 1,000-yard rusher in a transfer that was from Mississippi State.
Yep. Sometimes in ball games, when they played more physical teams like Oregon and Texas, they would throw to open up the run game, and then once the run game took over, they would ride that. To just drop out. You would see guys start to come down in the box a little bit, and then they would burn pass plays again. So, yeah, man, he knows what to do with a running back. He just never had that many like he's got right now at one time. You know,
exactly. So,
but yeah, man, I love what he's doing so far.
Yes, sir. So, with all that being said, we seen what we looked at last week. We really didn't force the pass. When he did pass it, it wasn't just throw it to Ryan Williams. It was him going through progressions or whatever. So how do you expect this offense to come out this game? Do you expect it to be more of a run-heavy game, or do you expect them, like this game, when I look at it, is batting practice. We just throwing fastballs, working on y'all swing. This game, I expected them to see a curveball or two. That's what I'm thinking. Like, we're going to probably open up just a little bit more, still keep it batting practice speed, but open up a little bit more.
I expect more receivers to eat this week.
Yes.
We will probably slow down the pace just a touch than what we come out with against Western Kentucky, at least at first in the game, I think.
Yeah.
I think we might come out running the ball pretty heavy, kind of working the short intermediate pass a little bit. He might let him loose a little bit, but if we're controlling the clock and controlling the scoreboard, there really ain't a whole lot of need for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're going to see more of that against Wisconsin the next week, I would think. But for sure, man, I think we'll see a little bit more what he's wanting to do, kind of more of the identity of what this team's trying to accomplish this week. A lot of that'll go, if we start gapping them with big play touchdowns again this week, we may not still know much, just like we don't know much after the first game. I'm more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy. I always have. But I'm so excited to watch our defense this week because we're playing. And since we're playing talent like that, I can't wait to see how we scheme up and try to slow down that quarterback. I cannot wait to see it.
Yes, that's me too. Because, like I said, when I was looking over this, I'm like, dang, they really got some ballers on the offensive side of the ball. This is gonna be another good test. Like I said, I'm not expecting USF to win this thing, but I believe it can put some some film, some deep thought of film study coming in that Wisconsin game. Like, yeah, we definitely need to work on this.
Most
and
definitely,
that.
it's a great test, and that's what
Yeah.
you want. You want that this early in the season before you get in the
Yes.
thick of your conference schedule, and that was, that's the kind of team that you can really learn a lot about your own team from.
Yeah.
Last week it was hard. We got a sample size with a little bit of everything. It was exciting. The scoreboard was lighting up faster than they could punch the buttons, but you don't learn as much in those situations where South Florida's not going to let you beat them that way every drive. You're going to have to earn it sometimes,
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm not there with you. I can't wait to see what we got to talk about. I'm sure I'll be texting you through the game. But,
Right.
yeah, man, I look forward to seeing this team, their growth. That was the funnest thing about last year. Texas held us down. We didn't scheme up a great game. We come out and struggled against South Florida. We had quarterback issues, which anybody in the know didn't have any issues with the quarterback. Just OC apparently. I don't know what his deal was, but
you started
seeing the team.
Cross player.
Don't even get me started, man. That's an hour conversation. But you started seeing this team around week 4 or 5 getting better. And, to the point where the 4th and 31 against Auburn, I had faith in the quarterback because I'd seen what he could do. There wasn't any doubt in my mind that Milroe could step up and make a play when he had to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once your team's got confidence in you like that, the world's your oyster, man. Like, you can go out. The coach gives you more leeway to be you. Look at Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs when he first got there. Reed's like, if you run this the way I feel like you should run it, and you do it efficiently, I'll give you a little more rope to kind of get a little fancier with it, man. So, guys just get in the system and buy in and do what they're supposed to do. They get to run with it.
Yeah, facts. So, I'm going to ask you this. Do you have a score prediction? I'm not good with score predictions, but
man, I'm glad you said that because I ain't either. I'm glad I don't try to make a living gambling on scores because I would be terrible at it. What's the line? Did you even hear what the line was?
I can find it real quick. Let me see. The line is like, what the 31?
Oof.
Against
I'm gonna still take the over on that. I'm gonna still take the over. I think USF is a good team, but I think the talent will wear them down, and by the second half,
yeah, facts.
It's over. So that's really what I expect. I would think we would beat them by, of course, double digits, but 30 plus. I really expect that. That offensive explosion is just a little too much for them.
Yeah. And that's my excitement this year. Like, it's so funny because I'm an offensive minded guy. I love offense, but of course, like y'all gonna be talking about my son a lot now. Of course, working with him, hey, he done brought that defense out of me now. He done brought the defense out of me, and I'm still excited to see this defense line continue to go to work and get better. I want to continue seeing multiple people play this season. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm expecting more of Jeremy Bernard and Kobe Payne in this game.
Same.
Expecting more of that.
I think Law will eat a little more in this game.
Yeah.
He had a touchdown last week, but there again, Milroe threw the ball like 9 times. Starters is done out.
Let's talk about that one play though, man. How he made how he taking off like he was about to run. Then when they pulled up, he seen it. That's something I don't think he would have did as much last year. I think he would have, like those small things is what I look at Miro progressing this year, man. Like those type things, man.
That's things I was hoping they would coach him up with last year, but they never did for some reason. But yeah, man, you remember back? God, it was back when Nick Marshall was quarterback at Auburn.
Yes, sir.
He used to do that, man.
He killed us with it 9 ball 1 year.
Man, he pissed me off with that. Just to be straight up with you. And it was great. I mean, he was a guy that was like a defensive back at one point. and he would just come up, fake that run. And he was so deadly with his legs, you had to take it serious.
Yeah.
And the way he could freeze a safety and just boop, gone over the top.
I remember the play he killed us with. I'm like, man, we so close, and he came up, and soon he came up 2 times. What's going on? What's going on? Go Dogs, my man. Go Dogs. Y'all finna have a murder this week. Whoever y'all play somebody, but y'all about to murder them.
Tennessee Tech, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Tennessee Tech. You right.
Yeah, Georgia ain't sweating that.
Nah. But
way too much.
Go ahead.
I said way too much talent. Georgia ain't sweating that one. They got an off week.
Hey, you know, I was listening to KB show last night. It was so funny that it's so funny how Alabama and Georgia just bicker back and forth.
Oh God, yeah. And sometimes I get in on it too. If it's just a really arrogant Georgia fan, I'll jump in a little bit here and there. Sometimes I just have to. I've done it to Alabama fans because, man, there's some ignorant Alabama fans out there floating around too. I ain't gonna sit here and pick on one school. We all got them.
Yeah, I'm starting to be like, where people are like, y'all Alabama fans, I'm starting to be like, hey, don't group me with everybody, all the motherfuckers. Well, I don't even
don't
like
group
some
us
of
all
them.
together. Come on now. Yeah, man, 2 times good dude. I've talked to him in chats before, man. There's a lot of Georgia guys. Him, Tom Reed, there's a bunch of them I like to talk to. They're knowledgeable. They're realistic, you know. But I'll tell you a couple crazy stats real quick. I know me and you was going to glance over some other games before we end it.
It's your show just as well as mine. We do whatever, dog.
But the thing nobody's talking about with USF is they returned 19 starters.
See?
19 starters. Like, that's impressive. 85% of the rushing yards is coming back. 84% of the receiving's coming back. 4 of their starters on O-line's coming back, and 9 of their 11 top tacklers. So they're a well put together seasoned team. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, 9 of the top. What you said? 9 of the
11 top tacklers from last year.
And see, like I said, that wasn't good last year, but I expect every team to be better.
They improved though.
Yes.
Did you watch their bowl game last year?
Oh yes, I did.
I think they actually set the NCAA record. Yeah, they for that bowl game, they set the record for that bowl game as far they blew them out. 45-0.
That's crazy. But my little score prediction, Tom Reed got 62-21. I definitely can see that. But I got like 45-7 because I think our defense is gonna be a little bit vicious. I do think that quarterback will give some interesting looks to that defense early, but I think overall we'll probably out talent them in the end, you know what I'm saying? And just get the rolling downhill. But like I said, y'all, if you gambling and need some, don't look at take the over.
Same here, brother.
Take the over. I'm just saying take the over.
I would definitely take the over. If I was just gonna have to go out here and pick a score, I'm honestly think we'll beat them down with a barrage of offensive firepower, like fighting a middleweight in boxing, where like they don't always throw the heaviest punch, but they hit you with so many. And I'm thinking something like 56-10, 56-13. You know, they get a couple field goals in there. You know, quarterback scrambles out, kind of puts them in field goal position. You know, something like that. You know, that kind of stuff happens when you got an athlete that good at quarterback. You just think it's hard to deny a guy like that for 4 quarters. So I don't expect them to go scoreless through this game. I'm realistic about it. But I'm thinking something like 56-10, 56-13.
And see, my original score for South Florida was them getting 17. But even though it was last year, I still looked at last year that even though all of what we went through that game, that starting quarterback, our defense kept us in the game. Our defense kept us in the game.
Yes, they did.
4-3, so that's why I changed it from 17. Because, like I said, that dude Brown, he can be one of the dudes that can mess up a spread on your thing with his talent. Not
so
saying he's gonna have to be Saturday, but he's gonna definitely upset a lot of people this season.
So you won't bounce around the NCAA for just a minute before we end this bad boy. Just highlight some other teams.
That was the next thing. And
all right, we got number 14 Tennessee versus number 24 NC State. All right, so me and you were talking before the show, and sometimes I get talking too much before the show that I use up too much of what I'm gonna say beforehand. But you know how I go. I can talk all day football, but NC State struggled for 3 quarters with Western Carolina last week, and now
Yes.
that's the first week of the season. I understand, I really do, to a point. But man, they give up a lot of yards against that offense of Western Carolina. And NC State was known for their front seven for a long time. And I know Mario Williams ain't running through that tunnel. And I don't even know as far as what the betting odds are on that game. But I think Tennessee going to beat the brakes off of them. And that's just me personally. I think Nico will have a field day against that defense. He looks like the star we all thought he would be. Just my opinion of him. Dylan, what's that kid's name? Dylan Sampson, the running back. Man, he looked like a great running back in the making right there. There's just a lot of things that makes me think NC State about to get jacked up.
The line of the game is Tennessee is 10. Negative 10. Tennessee.
10?
Yeah.
With a gun to my head, I'd have to take the over on that 10. I think Tennessee gonna beat them worse than that. That's just me though, man.
The over under is 60.5. So total they got to score. Do you think over under on that 60.5? Do you think they score more than 60 or under 60?
I tried to watch the game last week, but it was really just a highlight reel. Like that Tennessee would do whatever they wanted against Chattanooga last week. As expected. That offense is nasty. We know what the head coach draws up. Like he's an offensive guy. He's got a heck of a best quarterback he's possibly ever had. If you're listening to everybody that's talking about Nico, I know he's young. I know he's a little inexperienced, but I watched him in the bowl game last year. I watched him in the 7-on-7s in high school. I watched a lot of film on him. Nico can ball. Yeah. He can make any throw on the football field. He's a little undersized, but he's squirmy. He gets around in the pocket. He does what he has to do. Kid's got amazing arm talent, though. I just feel like Tennessee going to ball out. Tennessee going to have a good year, I feel like.
I think so, too. And like I say, what Western Kentucky, but West Carolina did to him last week, I'm like, if y'all cannot get to Nico, he going to give y'all fits. He going to make you – he going to embarrass you early if you can't get to Nico. It's just point blank period. Now, from a football fan, from a football aspect, I hope NC State gets to him because I want to see him react when he gets a little bit rattled. You know what I'm saying?
No, I totally agree.
I think the kid is good. I think the kid, like, I don't believe in paying $8 million to a kid, but I believe he was worth it.
if he can kind of put your team back on a trajectory, I can understand to a point. I mean, Tennessee got money, but McCall, the quarterback for NC State, he highly touted coming out of high school, man. Heck of a playmaker.
Yeah.
But he trusted on a little.
Was it Coastal Carolina? Where he came
from? I think it was
Coastal
Carolina. I'm pretty sure. Man, he's a great football player. We'll probably see him. He'll go pro. Now, I don't know if he's going to start, but he'll go pro. But he trusts on a little too much sometimes. You know what I mean? You know those guys that have too much faith in their abilities sometimes instead of just trying to play to what they can do. He's one of those kind of guys. And if you watched it last week, you've seen a little bit of it. To answer the 2 times question on my side of it, the Miami quarterback, it looked like a program changer.
Yeah.
Miami looks real.
I spoke about it last week. I felt like he completed Miami. I feel like he completes Miami.
Yes.
I feel like he completes. It's at 50 minutes right now. Do you have to get off right now? Or
I got like 10 more minutes I can go. So if you
need
me to, I can breeze through a few. But
okay.
But yeah, I totally agree with you, man. That quarterback's a program changer for Miami. That's a key piece they have not had in a long time. Is a multifaceted quarterback. And that kid looks like he can do anything.
So
Cam Ward, that's his name.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about Clemson versus App State. Do you feel an upset coming? That's your opinion.
I don't really feel an upset in that shit. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't bet on sports, but I feel like Clemson's physical enough in the line, in the trenches, to be able.
Defense still. They still got a good defense.
Yeah, now that secondary looked like something come out of BYU or Wisconsin Whitewater. If you know, you know. A little. They leaning a little too much on guys like me, you know, little slow back there, you know. But regardless, man, I don't think Clemson going to just completely fall off the map, but I don't think they're nowhere near a playoff. I don't know if they'll have the come apart that Florida State did in their second game, but who knows? Who knows, man?
And with me, even though I'm done with Clemson.
Oh, yeah. I think the coach holding them back. Crazy.
I don't feel like that'll happen, but the history with App State is they got something running through them when it comes to these games like that. They are ready for these games like this, man.
I'll never forget sitting on my couch watching them upset Michigan first game of the year in 2007. I'll never forget it.
Woo.
All right, let's talk a big boy game. Let's talk a big boy game. Number 3, Texas.
Woo.
Number 10, Michigan. How you feeling on this game?
Well, my last opinion, I think Texas is about to run through them, man.
I feel the same way, dude.
I think Texas is about to run through them, man.
I don't think Michigan is quite as physical offensively as they were a year ago. Their defense still looked decent against Fresno. Don't get me wrong, but Fresno is not Texas. Texas has athletes at every position on the field.
And they still got to do Will. They still got some good pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Don't get me wrong. Will Johnson.
I got questions about Texas D-line. Are they as physical as they were a year ago without Bo Davis coaching them up to me the best defensive line coach in football? I've got questions, but it's going to be a fun game to watch right there now.
And if they're not as physical as last year, can Michigan come with that same approach? Can they take advantage of that? Because if they can take advantage of that, that makes that game a little bit more interesting.
Can you imagine if Michigan comes in there and beats Texas?
We all talk about
two playoff teams.
We talk about 2 playoff teams. One went to the national championship and one lost to our head coach killing the board.
I'll be honest with you though, Michigan's deep passing, their pass coverage looked a little suspect last week, man. I mean, and look at Texas. They got a quarterback room that most teams would kill to have. You know, Ewers, Manning backing him up. I ain't the biggest Manning fan in the world. I felt like he was a little overrated because of his last name, but he looked good last week.
And I said the same. I've been saying the same thing about Manning, but I think he's getting better. And to say this, they hit on transfer portal a little bit. Manning came to Texas knowing what was going on. Yeah. Everybody was saying he gonna transfer, and I think he knows. Ask Bama Girl 26, what's going on? What's going on? Roll Tide, baby. He knows Sarkisian. He knows Sarkisian will be the coach that develop him and gives him where he needs to go. Believe me, he has quarterback gurus in his family. They're not dumb. I guarantee you that it was kind of a like Sarkisian might be the coach you might want to go play for. So I think he's going to be next year when he takes the reins. I think he's going to be a whole lot better. Do I think he was overrated coming out of high school? Hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, I still do. But he's a man and he knows the game. He's been coached up his whole life, you know. But let's talk about the fact that Texas really they got yards, but some just didn't look. I don't know, you know. But yeah, me personally, I think Texas beats them double digits. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, me too.
Here's another one coming up.
Go ahead.
This one ain't necessarily big on the national stage, but everybody got an opinion about this team. Colorado versus Nebraska.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everybody got an opinion about Colorado. I've stated it a million times. I was a huge Deion fan growing up, and I wish him well. but sometimes he brings a lot of the BS on his program, and then why it happens,
Yep.
But I go into that saying this: Shedeur Sanders is electric. That's a easy top 10. Most people stating top 5. Some people picking number 1 pick at quarterback. Their wide receiver room is top 10 in the country, in my opinion.
Horn.
Horn, of course, Hunter, possibly the best player in college football. And then you got, what's the other? Lajanetti, I think is his other name. The other wide receiver. They got some players at wide receiver. They do.
Yeah.
That being said, Nebraska went out, took care of business the way they needed to last week, and I expect them to out physical Colorado. Colorado had 59 rushing yards on 23 attempts by like 6 people. That's not going to get it done in a game against a team like Nebraska or a team like a Michigan or a team, any of the, Nebraska's on the rise. People don't talk about him enough. Matt Rule can coach. He can coach.
Remember what he did at Baylor. Remember what he did before Baylor. Remember that guy. And I'm going to tell you, dang what I was about to say.
Well, I'm going to fill in with this while you thinking about it.
Yeah.
I did not feel like, and I've already said that on your show earlier this week, I did not feel like Colorado improved any defensively.
No, I didn't.
So I don't personally expect much out of them this year. Their offensive firepower is great, but when you can't run the ball and you come up against a team that can not necessarily match your receivers, but can play good enough and put pressure on the quarterback to slow the passing game down a little bit, and you can't run the ball, you got problems. And they cannot run the ball. It's the same story last year. They had not improved on the run game. The O-line still don't look fantastic to me, and their defense is kind of looks the same to me. So I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah. So I expect Nebraska to beat them big. I really do. I don't think it'll be a 6-point game. Like, I ain't saying they're going to beat them by 50, but I think Nebraska physicality will grind them down over 4 quarters.
And I know what I was about to say. Dylan Raiola, young guy, true freshman. And guys, don't make any mistakes and y'all can do it. Because if you make mistakes, you don't want to give Shedeur and Travis Hunter and Joe Horn any extra snaps.
Absolutely.
Go there, play mistake-free football, and I believe y'all will out physical these guys because, like we said last week, I really don't see much of a difference. I said this about Warren Sapp. I'm a Bucks fan. Bucks fan. Big Buck energy over here. I love Warren Sapp.
Hey, I was a lineman. I loved Warren Sapp growing up.
But do we not coach these guys? It's the difference between giving pointers and coaching. If y'all want to do it to give pointers, y'all can hire me. I still don't know. It's just the second game coming up. Still don't know. We'll know at the end of the season and how he progresses after then. But
this is a hot take for a lot of people. But sometimes Hall of Famers are not the greatest coaches.
Yeah,
because it's hard to explain something that comes so natural to you.
Oh, same thing I was about to say about Deion, man.
Yep.
Think about it. He was a talent that he never had to be developed. He was just good as hell. So when you come across kids that actually have to get developed, you kind of shy away from the kids. When it comes to kids like Travis Hunter, they're just good as hell. When it comes to kids like Shedeur, somebody that you've been coaching since flag football probably, it's easy to gravitate towards those guys. But when it comes to a guy that needs to be developed, what do? You kick them off, you run them off and go get a whole other offensive line. Not knowing, dude, you still got to develop these guys. You go get dudes out of the portal that they was talented out of high school. They got a dude, I think his name AJ Green. He played for Arizona State. He was a dog there. But there still has to be development at some point. If you're not going to develop them, you're going to have to hire guys that is good in that field of development.
Yep.
And Coach Prime is hard to you because you was the guy that baseball came natural to you, football came natural to you. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure you played basketball as well in high school. You probably
He's
good
one
at
of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in our lifetime. Straight up.
yes.
Just like a Bo Jackson. I know that's a dirty word around Alabama fans. Bo Jackson, greatest athletes to ever play a sport, period. And guys like that, I don't know that they necessarily can translate to the coaching world. I just don't know how you can tell a guy to do something that you just seemingly could do so easy.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
don't. It'd be hard to do. But real quick, before I have to jump up off here, we got Arizona versus Mississippi State. I watched a little bit of Arizona. That Noah Fifta kid can throw the ball anywhere you want him to. Super talented quarterback. McMillan, the wide receiver, I think he had like 300 and something yards, 4 touchdowns last week. But their defense couldn't stop nothing. Yeah. And Mississippi State's looking to try to do something. They're trying to get an identity. They're trying to become a presence and slowly build, and this would be a great game for them to come on the scene a little bit. Now, they're not the Alabama Georgias of the world, but you got to start somewhere, and knocking off a talented Arizona team would be a great start for a new coach.
I agree. Like I said last week, I've never really been excited to see a Mississippi team more than I've been this offseason. I'm a big fan of coaches that make their name off of what they do best, OC.
Yes.
And actually get the head coaching job. I'm really interested to see what he can do with Mississippi State. I think this is the game that we start. Mississippi State looks to me will look different this season. Not saying what it will translate to. Definitely not saying competing for no SEC, but I think this coach is gonna have them headed in the right direction. And
I think so too.
Yeah,
they need to be patient with him and watch the growth of their team, not necessarily the scoreboard. We get caught up in that too much. Watch the growth of your team throughout the season.
Got one more game and we can go. And
throw it out
these
there.
games we talk about now, these football head games. Arkansas versus Oklahoma State.
Man, I'm glad you brought that one up. Because I've been selling on this Arkansas quarterback running back read option combo they're throwing out there with that O-line pushing guys around. I know it's Arkansas Pine Bluff. I understand that. Yes. But you can see the beginning of brilliance sometimes, even in small places. And Oklahoma State has some great players. Yeah. But can Arkansas get in there and get physical and run that ball a little bit and keep the control? Because just like I know, that Oklahoma State running back is possibly one of the best running backs in the country. He is one of the best running backs in the country. But this Oklahoma State's got a little different identity than the teams we've used to them having.
Uh-huh.
And a team like Arkansas can get in the trenches and get physical with you. Even on a bad year, Arkansas is physically a tough team to push around. They always got big linemen in the trenches. They've always got good running backs.
Yes.
And this game matches up well for Arkansas, I feel like. I ain't sitting here saying, upset. But Arkansas, if they won that game, my jaw ain't dropping.
Mine neither.
I'm not shocked.
Because now we talk about a Sam Pittman that's trying to coach his way out of the hot seat.
Yes, sir.
So he's going to lean to more the way he knows physicality. And it was Arkansas Pine Bluff. And when he went and got the right quarterback for what we seen last week, the running back, you said everything about a running back. And I think if you can come out there and punch those guys in the mouth in the trenches early, I think you will wear down on them, and we can see that physical Arkansas team that plays Bama tough a lot. That was close to us last year. Like that got closer, and I think if they would have won this game, I wouldn't be shocked. It's not an upset in my book.
No, not me either. Because I don't pay attention to preseason rankings that much.
Nah,
I just don't. I didn't think Florida State deserved to be 10 at the beginning of the year before we watched them play, but that was just me. I'm gonna throw some more out there real fast.
All right, cool.
I don't even have a prediction for them. Just games that fans need to be on the lookout for. Number 7, Oregon versus Boise State.
Oh, okay, yeah, most definitely.
Might be one to watch. Oregon struggled with Idaho last week. Let's see if it was early game jitters or if Oregon's really in a weird transition right now, and if Boise State can take advantage of it. And then you got Georgia Tech, Syracuse.
I was just about to bring it up.
I expect Georgia Tech's physicality to win that ball game. But Syracuse is coming off a bowl season.
First year head coach, good guy though, good guy.
Yes.
He went and got some pretty good transfers. He went and got some good. Kyle McCord is now Ohio State old quarterback. He's now Syracuse's starting quarterback. So I'm excited to see what Syracuse got. But I'm more excited about Georgia Tech this year too. As well, I think Georgia Tech will out physical and win this game though.
Last one from me, Iowa State. All right, so you got Iowa that's trying to come in here and have a little bit of offense for the first time in what feels like forever.
Yeah.
Got a slow start last week in a game, but started to pick up the second half. The defense looks well coached and as physical as you expect from an Iowa defense. They always bring a good defense to the table. I watched Iowa State struggle with North Dakota a little bit. They didn't put up a lot of points. They looked a little bit unimpressive. I expect Iowa to win, but if Iowa State was to upset them, they're going to be some majorly pissed off people in Iowa because they expect this year to be more competitive on offense, and losing to Iowa State, you're going to be problems for the coach. That's all I'm going to say.
But man, to me, Iowa State, you really didn't see much of it last year, but I think they got I think the quarterback pretty decent. How much he really translate? I know coming out of high school, he was pretty damn decent. I can't think of his freaking name. I can't never think of these guys' name when I want to think of them.
I can't either sometimes, man. I get over here, I go blank.
But I like this is my thing. I expect everybody to get better. So if Iowa State wins this thing, it's like Iowa, are you gonna be the same team that can't score more than 10 points? That's my thing. Thing. One more. This is my last and final one. I don't even know how we didn't talk about this game. South Carolina versus Kentucky. They have South Carolina has Rocket Sanders from the transfer portal from Arkansas. True freshman Jakeem Stewart that wrecked havoc last week. I forgot who they played. They ain't played nobody, but he wrecked havoc as a true freshman. World class Olympic sprinter might as well be, and Nicholas Harbor in the receiving group. So that we see Beam Ball or that's Brock Vandergriff shows Georgia that you should have rolled with me. You should have rolled with me.
I don't know that they'll necessarily be glad that they didn't go with him because I think Georgia made a good decision.
I made a great decision.
Beck's a hell of quarterback, but I expect Kentucky to win this one. They are just too physical for a team like South Carolina to contend with right now. They're well coached on O-line, D-line. They got some bodies. They got some guys on O-line. They don't get good quarterback. We'll say the potential of that quarterback is great. You know, he didn't get to Georgia for no reason. I feel like the Beamer days are slowly coming to an end in South Carolina, and I think a blowout here is just going to be another notch in the belt for them to look for somebody else.
I do know South Carolina got a new quarterback. I liked him last year in the spring game. How does it translate during this season? I think he's pretty decent, but we'll see. But those are games that football. If you love football, those are games that you probably need to go watch. This is what I'm saying. Well, Van, I know you gotta go. I gotta get ready for work in the morning. I know you probably gotta get ready for the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Reed, Alabama girl, two-time everybody that tuned in today. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. Appreciate everybody. And I appreciate you for letting me come on again, brother. You know I love to talk it.
Like I said, man, I'm trying to make this a regular thing with you, man. Like I said, I gotta make it a regular thing with you. You gotta get Rise Up back on this thing with us. Appreciate
definitely, that's my big brother.
Yes, sir. I love me some Rise Up. That's my dog. But guys, appreciate y'all. Salute y'all. And I'm gonna goddamn hit y'all with a little something before we ride out. But let's link up for Saturday. Get our minds focused on Wisconsin after Saturday. And I'm out.
So what we do is important, but how we do what we do becomes more and more important. And that's for every guy here. We got to do it better. Our goal is to have the kind of team that nobody